So during this unit, we take a look back at some of the methods that y'all have done to solve quadratics. And one of the easier methods to do if your quadratic equation factors is to solve it by factoring. So the steps that are required is first you actually have to factor the quadratic, and then second you have to take your factors, set them equal to 0, and solve them. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. If you have a quadratic equation like this, x squared plus 5x minus 14, and it already is set up so it's equal to 0, you just need to factor it. So we know that x squared is really x multiplied by x, and 14 could be 1 times 14, 2 times 7, okay, or you could have some sign changes in there. But really, in order to get this positive 5 in the middle, what we would need is a positive 7 and a minus 2. That way, 7 minus 2 is 5. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Okay, so we've factored this thing. Okay, so now what we can do is we can use these factors, okay, set them equal to 0, and solve them. Okay, if I want to solve this first equation, x plus 7 equals 0, I need to subtract 7 on both sides. 7 minus 7 cancels, and 0 minus 7 is negative 7. So one answer is negative 7. Alright, on the other one, I would need to add 2 to both sides in order to solve for x, and that would give me x equals positive 2. So what you should kind of notice here is that if you take a look here, you see a positive 7. X plus 7 is the factor. Well, x equals negative 7 is the actual solution, your answer. So you should notice that they're just opposite signs. Okay, that relationship is going to happen a lot. So all this work here, you don't really have to do. Okay, if you just remember that when you're factoring, solving by factoring, you change that sign. So let's look at another example. Alright, so again, you'd have x squared plus 29x plus 100 equals 0. Okay, that equals 0 is important. But you have, see, x times x would give you x squared. And let's see, there's a whole bunch of stuff that gives you 100. 1 and 100, 2 and 50, 4 and 25, 5 and 20, and 10 and 10. And of course, to get a 29, we would need these two numbers here. So a 4 and a 25. Alright? So, in order to solve this, you could just do this mentally, or you could actually write it down. But x plus 4 equals 0. Okay, so that would mean that x has to equal negative 4. So you'd also have x plus 25 equals 0, which means that x would have to equal negative 25. Okay, so there are your two answers. Alright, just one more quick example. Let's see, x squared minus 6x minus 27 equals 0. You would have x times x still to give you your x squared. And to get 27, you could have 1 and 27 or 3 and 9. Since we need this negative 6 in the middle, we would need a positive 3 and a negative 9. So we factored it. That was step 1. Your next step, set them equal to 0 and solve them. So that's why we say our answers are negative 3. You could do this mentally. X equals, instead of negative 9, positive 9. And again, if you need to see that work, that's because you're solving this equation, which means you'd have to add 9 to both sides, giving you the positive 9. So there they are. Just one real quick one. Okay, say for something like this, you don't already have it so it equals 0. You would actually have to do one step. You'd have to move this over here so that you could get 0. 2 plus 2 is 4. We'll bring down the rest of this stuff. Okay, and then I would have to factor it like normal. Okay, so if I did that very quickly, that would be plus 1, x plus 4. And so I would automatically know mentally that my answers are, in fact, -1, and -4. Alright, so good luck to you with this. This is solving quadratics by factoring.